Welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie and this is episode 150. It is the year 2025 and the very end of October. We are having beautiful cloudy days and the leaves have all turned and they are just golden and crisp and red and orange, and it is absolutely a beautiful time of the year. It has been a few weeks since we last sat down for a projects update video. I have tons of knitting to share with you, some finished projects, a lot of works in progress. I apologize in advance for things being a little scattered. It's just the state of my mind right now. There's just a lot going on. What I'm going to try to do is talk about my projects without going too much in depth. I feel like those are famous last words because I tend to go on and on about things. However, for the sake of time and for the sake of my brain power and the time it takes to edit things and all those things, I'm going to try to be succinct, and then maybe in the future when the project is finished, then I can go into more of those details. As always, project pages will be linked in the description box below this video. I do use Ravelry. And then I will also link to designers, makers, things like that, to their websites so that you can look up more information there as well. All of my videos include closed captioning. You can click on that CC button. And if I speak faster or slower than your preferences, YouTube allows you to adjust the speed. Today, I'm going to go through some finished projects, lots of works in progress, and I think I'm just gonna wrap it up from there. If you are new here, usually I have an eats and reads section where I talk about things I've cooked lately, books I've read, and then sometimes there's a food for thought section at the end where I share things that have been in my mind, on my heart. And yes, there are lots of things in my mind, on my heart, but I just don't have the capacity to pull things together into some sort of tangible fashion for those sections to share with you today. So I am showing up here today as I am with the things that I feel like I can talk about in a concrete manner, and we're just gonna go with that. What I am wearing for you today is my Farnham sweater. I knit this, I believe, last year, and I used Pearl Soho's Good Wool yarn. It is a sport weight base. I believe the pattern is written for DK, maybe. So mine is knit at a slightly looser fabric, but I love it so much. It wears really well, and I grab for it all the time. It has a bit of a mock neck situation going on top that is hard to see because I have a cowl on that I'll talk about in a minute. And then there are deeper armholes. It is a drop shoulder. I love the shoulder V detail with the stripes coming together. And I use the colors, I think, wild mustard and something wheat, maybe wheat flour. If I'm incorrect, they will be here on the screen. I guess now is also a good time to mention that I will often put things on the screen either as a visual aid or to correct myself. And if I don't catch it in editing, if I've said something incorrect, hopefully it will be in the description box below this video. Along with my Farnham sweater, I have on the first finished project I'd like to share with you today. This is the Creativity Cowl by Tori Yu. I tested this pattern in September, year 2025, and it was released, I believe, October? Earlier this month. It is a paid for pattern at $7 USD, and it is one of those patterns where you can knit it at any yarn weight, any gauge, and then the measurements are given in the pattern so you can just knit to that measurement. And I did use the recommended yarn and needle sizes in the pattern. So I used Harrisville Designs Daylights in the lint colorway, which just has a slight dusting of lavender. And that is left over from my campus cardi that I tested for Amy Sure Makes. And then paired with it, I used yarn remaining from a different project that I knit several years ago in a colorwork sweater. And that is very special hand spun by a friend of mine who gifted it to me, and I just love it. There are these autumnal jewel tone colors in green and brown and gold, and it just pairs really nicely with this ecru base that just has that slight dusting of lavender. I'm going to come a little bit closer and hopefully you can see it a little better. The edges are all knit along the way, so there's no picking up of stitches afterwards. And then it is knit flat and seamed up the back. So it's more of that bandana style cowl. And I just love the textured bumps with the stripes. And here's the back. There are a few sizes listed in the pattern. I knit the youth size because I prefer a cowl that's closer to my neck. I wear cowls as a functional accessory, so I need it to block wind. And I find that with cowls that are more drapey and have less fabric close to my neck, that they don't really block any wind. And for this, being a little bit on the smaller side, I can still pull it up over my face to block any wind and pull it all the way up to my nose because it's nice and deep, and that creates a good wind blockage. I feel like if I used a superwash merino, for example, it may be so drapey that it doesn't really stay up. However, it would just look more fluid maybe. And so if that's something that you are looking for, or if you are looking for something that might be a little less warm, using a different fiber will just give you a different look, different function. So mine is woolen spun, and it definitely is pretty warm when I'm wearing it. I ended up using 64 grams or about 160 yards of my main color in the Harrisville Designs Daylights. And then with the hand spun, I don't have an exact yardage, but I used about 41 grams of the hand spun. So that is the Creativity Cowl by Tori Yu. The next finished project I'm going to share with you is this trio of chickens. I am so excited about these chickens. They are just what I needed right now, or the last several days, or the last week, or however many days have passed. But let me tell you about these chickens. So my friend Yeji of Handmade Co. has made, I think, 2 of these chickens. I just had to cast one on. This is the Poppy the Chicken pattern from Jessica of Mama and a Stitch. It is a free pattern, and I believe if you want to purchase the PDF, you can from their website or Etsy or something like that. I will link to it in the description box below this video. Otherwise, you can just follow the free pattern on the website. This chicken uses super bulky yarn and is very easy. I would say a beginner can definitely do this. So let me tell you the construction of this chicken. You start on the bottom, you knit flat, you make a rectangle or a square. It's a garter square, and you cast on 10 stitches and you knit 21 rows. And then you pick up all the way around, and then you knit basically a bowl. So you just do knit stitches all the way around. And then when you get to the right height, which is stated in the pattern, or you can do whatever you want, you bind off knitwise all the way around. And then you stuff the chicken, and then you seam the top with a whip stitch until you get close to where the head would be. And then stop for a second so that you can embroider the eyes or put on safety eyes. And the beak is just a knot. And then you double knot the inside. So that's why you need the top open still. And then you can finish seaming the top part, and then you make the wings, which are optional, you make the crest, and then you whip stitch that down as well. And that's it. That's all there is to this chicken. Recommended needle size is a US 15, which is a 10 millimeter needle. I decided to go with a US 13, which is a 9 millimeter needle because I like the denser fabric, and I like to stuff the chickens pretty full, so I didn't want anything kind of coming through the fabric. And then another thing I did different is I made a bean bag for the bottom. It just gives it a little more weight, and then the bottom also doesn't just like bulge out with how much I stuff it. And so I make a bean bag out of remnant quilters cotton fabric, and I put pellets in that so it sits nice and flat on the bottom. And then I fill it with polyfill. So this chicken is machine washable if needed. Like if somebody spilled a bunch of soup over it or something like that, I could throw it in the wash. The yarns I'm using are the Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, which is an acrylic and wool blend. I feel like in general, probably spot washing is better. Otherwise the chicken might come out a little funny shaped, but you could just like massage it back into shape maybe. I think that would be okay. But just something to consider depending on what you stuff it with. It may make it hand wash only or machine wash, although I suppose that's the same for the fabric that you create too. So for my chickens, I used Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick. This color is Coney Island, and I love how autumnal it looks. It's marled, and there is color that changes throughout. We have these oranges, browns, golds, cream, and gray, different shades of green. And on this one, I didn't have a ton of yarn, so I just knit until I ran out, and then I seamed the top with a tweed yarn that's called Barley. And then I tied that in by knitting the wings the same color. The crest is a red that's called cranberry. The beak, I used a yarn called butterscotch, which is a beautiful yellow orange gold. And then for the eyes, I think I used like a black worsted weight yarn, and I just went around one stitch maybe 3 or 4 times before double knotting on the inside. And then for my next 2 chickens, I also used the Line Brand Woolies Thick and Quick. I don't remember the exact colorways. Maybe I'll have them here on the screen just above the chickens. Hopefully it'll be here on the screen. And then for the crest and the wings, I did the cranberry for the top and then the butterscotch. Whoop! And then the butterscotch for the wings. And then for this second chicken that I made, the colors just remind me of an October sky, the sunsets, the sunrises that are just beautiful bright pink and purple. Hopefully I'll have a picture here on the screen of one of the sunrises we've had. It was just breathtaking. It was so beautiful. So for this chicken, I decided to do the bottom, the butterscotch color, just to change it up a little. And I love how it looks. It's so cute. And then the third chicken here, I went back to doing the whole thing in the mane. I think it was also because I was starting with more of a full hank of yarn, maybe. I don't remember exactly. And something really special that I did for these chickens is I left the top of the wing open when I stitched it shut so that I could put a little book inside. Now this one, my daughter has already started writing in the story, so I'm not going to show you the whole book, but basically it's just a bunch of scrap paper that I have cut into a smaller rectangle, and then I just stapled the spine. And so the chicken has a book. It's so cute. So it's just tucked right in there. So my kids are delighted with their chickens, and I'm so excited to gift this first chicken to the intended recipient. I know it will be well loved. I'm just so delighted. I'm so glad I decided to make them. Yeji, thank you for sharing the pattern with all of us. I foresee more chickens in my future. I think I forgot to say one thing in the needle sizes, but for the wings I used a US 8, which is a 5mm needle. I just like the density of that fabric better. And then for the mane I used the US 13, which is a 9mm needle. So cute. Okay, we are moving on to the works in progress section. I'm going to give you a quick update on my Avenue pullover test knit that I'm doing for Tori U. This is due early December. I feel a little behind right now, but it's just what it is. It will get done. The yarns that I'm using are Pearl Soho's Good Wool in Driftwood Gray, which is a lovely light gray color. And I'm holding that with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in Rose Clay, which is a very soft mauvey pink with slight brown maybe undertones to it. And I feel like the two are playing very nicely together. This is a DK weight pattern. I'm using a US 6 4mm needle for the main fabric. I'm a little tangled up here because I have both sleeves going simultaneously. I decided to take a break from the body after I split for the body and sleeve section. It is knit top down. Feeling a little tight on time right now, even though I know it will get done. It just feels like these weeks are going by so fast, and I basically have like a month-ish left to finish it, and I don't know. It will get done. It will get done. Ready? Here we are. It is so soft and luxurious and beautiful, and I am really, really looking forward to wearing this. The shoulder construction was so lovely to knit. It was not complicated, and it just looks so elegant, and the fabric feels so luxurious. I feel like this neutral has a lot of depth to it, and the halo is just beautiful. After I split for body and sleeves, I did pick up to knit the neckline. I just feel like that pulls it together better, and then if I want to try it on, I just have a better feel of how that sits, and then I'll know how long I want to knit my sleeves, because if the neckline is pulled in a little, the sleeves will go up a little bit. So if I waited until after I finish the sleeves, I may not have the sleeve length that I wanted. So the neckline is finished, and I have the yarn on both of the sleeves because I like to knit my sleeves in tandem on their own needles, and that way I can do like one section on one to like the decrease round, do the same thing on the other, and just kind of keep going back and forth so I don't feel like I'm starting all over again once I just finish one sleeve. It also makes it easier for trying on. The balance is a little bit better. So this is where we are at. The sleeves, I'm like maybe almost halfway on the sleeves, I think. So hopefully I can get those sleeves done in the next week or so and then get back to the body and finish that. But I'm really liking how this is knitting up. The fabric is not too loose or gapey at all, and it just feels really nice and really warm, and it'll be the perfect sweater to wear in December. The next update I'm going to share with you is on the See My Vest worsted, and this is a free pattern on the Maker website, and this is a Christmas gift. I am using the Patton's Croy worsted 100% wool yarn, and the color is a very neutral, cool brown color. And I am knitting this on a US 7, I believe. This one is knit top down. You knit the back section first, and then you pick up to knit each of the front before joining the front, knitting a little more length and a little bit of armhole shaping, join the front and the back together, and then you knit a tube all the way down. This one I've also picked up to knit the neckband and the armholes. I did shorten some of the armhole depth because this is going to be for a child and the pattern is just written for adult sizes. I cast on the adult XS, which I believe finishes at 31-inch circumference, and I just wanted to make sure the armholes weren't going to be ridiculously deep for a little kid, and so I shortened those just by a little bit, I think by an inch. There will be more positive ease than recommended in the pattern, but I think this also will allow for growth and still comfort, and I think it will look so cute with like a button-up collared shirt underneath, and I'm just so excited to finish this and gift it, and I think it will be well loved. I like that it is a neutral color, which should make it easy for pairing, and also kids change their mind about their favorite colors all the time, so I didn't necessarily want to make it in a favorite color, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. For the ribbing, I did do an Italian sewn bite off at the end because it is a knit one, purl one rib, and I think that looks very tidy and very finished. So I have maybe a few more inches to go before I do the ribbing, and then it will be done. So this I am knitting as part of my friend Emily of the Botanical Knitters October vest make along. That does end, I believe, the end of October, so it's not going to be finished, but that's okay. And so if you want to know more about, well, I was going to say more about the make along, but it'll be over. So maybe if you just want to know more about Emily, you should go check out the Botanical Knitter here on YouTube and on her Instagram. While we're talking about vests, I'm going to show you the Avenue vest I've cast on. This is my third one. This is a pattern by Tori Yu, and the yarn that I am using is a new base on Purl Soho's website. This yarn was provided to me for this project to try out this new base. It is the Wild Donegal. It's 100% merino wool. It is not superwash. Comes in 139 yards for 100 grams, and it is made in Ireland. It has this beautiful tweed embedded in it, and it is woolen spun. This is considered a chunky, bulky weight yarn. And the colorway I'm showing you here on the screen is pink lavender. So it's like a pink hued lavender color. And the tweed is actually more pastel. There's like these pastel green, pink, and purple colors in there. Maybe slightly saturated pastel, but it's just absolutely beautiful. It feels kind of like memory foam. It's very dry. The stitches really blend in nicely together. Recommended needle size is a 7 to a 10. And on this swatch, I used a US 7. So I didn't get gauge for the pattern, so I ended up going down a needle size from a US 8 to a US 7, and the pattern calls for a US 8 with an 18 stitch gauge. So on a US 7, I was still getting a 17 stitch gauge, but I was not going to go down another needle size. That would have hurt my hands a lot, and the fabric density would have been really, really stiff. So I've already made 2 of these. I actually did test this pattern for Tori, I think it was last year. And I wanted one that was a little more structured feeling, not as drapey. And so that's why I chose a thicker weight yarn. And so I cast on the smallest size, and I will finish between the size 1 and 2, I believe. So, ready to see it? Here we are. This vest is so close to being done, I just need to finish it. I'm going to stand up so hopefully you can see where it is on my body. It is right to my belly button, so I think I'm just going to do a couple more rounds of stockinette and then do the ribbing and be done. So I did change up the ribbing a little bit. I did it chunkier, and I did an Italian sewn bind off, so it has that rounded edge look. Again, this is my 3rd one, so I just thought I would change things up a little bit. My armhole depth ended up really deep. Again, I'm knitting at a different gauge, and so I did thread in some elastic in there. I don't think it's super visible, just to cinch it up a little bit. And I think that helped a lot. I probably cinched it in an inch or 2 just because it was so big, and now I think it might be closer to what it says in the pattern. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. The whole thing has not been blocked yet, so I can't really give measurements, but I think it'll be just fine. It's a vest. It has positive ease. It'll be fine. For the neck, I did more rounds, so there are more decreases, so my neckline is much chunkier, and I thought that would look nice with a more structured vest. And so I'm really liking how this is. This is also knit as part of Emily's vest make-along, and it will also not be done by the end of the vest make-along, and that is okay. Let's look at 2 different hot water bottle patterns. They are both free patterns. This one is cast on from the bottom up. You can use Judy's Magic Cast On or the Turkish Cast On. I think it's called Turkish Cast On. That's the one I did. It's the one that I learned initially, and it's easier for me to grasp and just do. So that's the one I do. And I start out on Magic Loop. And then once I knit about a body of maybe an inch or so, then I switch to 16-inch circulars. This is using US 6 4mm needles, and here is what I have. This is a Maker free pattern, and it is a hot water bottle cover. So we have a few in the house. I do not have one for myself yet, but that is going to change. This one is for a gift, and it is knitting up beautifully. I am using a fingering weight yarn held double. This is Malabrigo's 100% superwash merino, and it is the colorway Arco Iris. It's this beautiful green base rainbow. And I've actually pulled this yarn out of 3 different projects that I've started and ripped out. It just wasn't really working for what I wanted it to do. I think at one point I was knitting it into a hat, but then it started pooling in a way I didn't like it pooling. There would just be chunks of red and then chunks of green. And so if I hold the yarns together, the variegation gets broken up a little bit more. But I was also noticing that it started doing that too. And so I ended up cutting one of the strands and then rejoining, I think, from the center of the yarn, or maybe the outside later. I don't remember what I did, but I just had to change it up because it just really wanted to combine some of the colors together. The color pooling isn't as drastic with the yarns held together here compared to when it was not held together, and I just have a little more opportunity to cut the yarn and restart somewhere else if I feel like there's too much red or green in one section. So that's what was happening here. It looks just fine. It's a water bottle cover. It's not something I'm going to be wearing. I definitely don't like a lot of pooling in the garments that I wear, and again, this is a hot water bottle cover. I don't think the hot water bottle will mind if its sweater has a little bit of pooling in it. I think it'll be just fine. So the color is just coming out so nicely, and this is a great one to have on the go because there are no increases or decreases, no shaping involved unless you are at the very bottom or at the shoulders of the hot water bottle, and then there's just some ribbing on the top. So I have made this pattern a couple of times already. It is a very easy pattern. I think a beginner would enjoy doing it. The only tricky part is that beginning cast on, but this pattern also comes with instructions for knitting it in the round and knitting flat. So you can see which one works best for you. If you knit it flat, you just have to seam the edges up. So yeah, I'm really liking this. I think it's just lovely. This is going to be a Christmas gift, so I just need to finish it at some point. Then Purl Soho came out with a hot water bottle cover pattern. It is a free pattern on their website, and this one is knit top down. So you start at that funnel part on the top and then do increases and then go all the way down. So I saw that one and I just immediately had to cast it on. I love that it uses one needle size. Again, it's a US 6 4mm needle. All my US 6 4mm needles are on projects at this point. So initially I was telling myself that I can't cast on any more anything, but then I just decided I just can't cast on anything with a US 6 because that's my limiting reagent right now, and anything else is fair game. So this one I am knitting on magic loop because I have no more 16-inch US 6 needles. So this one you start out on this top section and you have this rolled edge from the stockinette, and then you knit a 2x2 ribbing, and then you set in your markers to do these increases. And the difference is that the increases for this one are not right on the edge of the shoulder compared to the other one. So the increases here are more in the front part. And then right now I'm just knitting in the round, and I'm adding in stripes because the yarn I'm using is left over from two other projects. This is the Purl Soho Note yarn. It is super, super soft, and I am really looking forward to my own hot water bottle cover in this yarn. This is an extra fine merino alpaca blend, and it is super, super soft. It doesn't pill, but it does definitely get fuzzy. So I've knit 2 cowls in it, and hopefully I'll have a picture of them here on the screen so you can see. And wearing it as a cowl, there's not a lot of friction, so it doesn't get super pilly, but again, it does get fuzzy. So one of mine definitely is pretty fuzzy, but it's also super warm. It doesn't matter because of the function of it, it's just fine, but I'm not sure I would knit a whole sweater in this. I feel like it would feel potentially too heavy or too drapey, like not have any structure to it. And over time, I feel like it would just fuzz or pill really easily. Maybe not even over time, like over a wear or two. So personally, that's what I would say. Reserve this for accessories and things that have less friction. I don't think I would even knit this into mittens because with hands, you're always moving and touching things, and that would have a lot of friction. So maybe if you don't mind any pilling or fuzzing, like that's totally fine. I'm not trying to tell you not to do it. I'm just saying in my personal experience and my personal opinion, I would probably not choose this yarn to knit a garment in, but I do like it for a hot water bottle cover, a cowl. I've not tried it in a hat, but yeah, it's just so soft and so lovely. I don't think I have a tag for it here. Hopefully I'll have information about the yarn here on the screen so you can see more about it if you are curious. It is a yarn that is not very tightly spun, so it will split, but while it's tensioned in my hand while I'm knitting with it, I don't find it splitty, but just kind of sitting on its own, the ends do tend to want to unravel. So just something to note. The last finished project I'm going to share with you today are a pair of socks that I just started. I am using Mud Punch. The colorway is Carnival of Curiosity. It is the slash self-striping sock base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It comes in 110 grams for 385 yards. Canadian company. Love this yarn so much. It is just, the color combinations are creative and fresh and fun, and the yarn lasts. I have not had to repair any of the socks knit in this yarn, and I have had 0 color bleeding, 0 color fading, and I am a big fan of this yarn. Now, why is this yarn rolled up like this? It's because I purchased it as a sock tube in, I think, December 2024. Chantel was having a sale. I think I bought each tube for $25 USD, not including shipping. And they are a 64 stitch count. The circumference, I think, is about 7 3/4 of an inch, maybe, or 7.5 inches. I can't remember exactly. I thought this colorway looked very Halloween-y. And though they probably won't be done for Halloween, that's okay. Are you sensing a theme here? Things not finishing? It's okay. Cast on all the things. Try to find the joy in things. Maybe a theme going on here. So, in this bag, I have a pair of socks for my daughter. I went with the sock tube because I basically can't knit socks fast enough for how fast she keeps growing. And right now, she has a lot of my socks because she was outgrowing her previous socks, but I just can't knit them fast enough to kind of keep up with that. And so I pulled out the sock tube, and the sock tube is actually a little bit too big for her. So with this plumper yarn, I feel like I've done it with 60 stitch counts on a US one, or even 56 stitch counts, but with a US 1.5, so the fabric isn't as tight. But if I do it in the leg, I think it's okay. It's in the foot that she doesn't like to feel that extra fabric. So I divided up the sock tube so that the leg has the 2 repeats of the color striping sequence. And then I used Hawthorne Fingering, which to me is a heavier fingering weight, light sport weight yarn by Knit Picks. And I used the colorway Fawn. It's this beautiful semi-solid chocolatey brown color. I did a Knit One Purl One for the cuff for about 1 inch. Did an Italian sewn bind off on the top. And then I picked up on the bottom part and I did a short row heel, a shadow wrap short row heel after I knit a couple of rounds. So I did 1 round, and then on my next round, I decreased 2 stitches on both sides so that I got down to a 60 stitch count. And then I did the heel, and I will continue with the 60 stitch count in this main color for the rest of the foot. Or I guess, I don't know if it's the main color. There's the stripes too, so is that the contrast color? I don't know. So I'll continue for the foot in this brown color, and then just away I go. So I have them both going. I made this cute little cup for the second sock so they don't get tangled on each other. It's a pretty tight fitting one. There's these foxes on it, and it's super cute. So I have 2 going. They're both at the same spot. I just finished the heels on both, so now it's just round and round I go. So the great thing about this sock tube is half the sock is done already. I just had to split it up, put it on needles, knit a cuff, and away I go. So that has helped a ton. And I think I have 2 more of these sock tubes. And by doing it this way, I actually can knit 2 pairs of socks out of the sock tube. I could probably even do 3 if I wanted to knit short socks. And I think just by using it for part of the sock and using another coordinating color, you can really get a lot out of a beautiful self-striping yarn. So here we are with these beautiful Halloween-y socks that probably won't be done by Halloween, but that's okay. They're so much fun, and I think she's gonna have a lot of fun wearing them. Okay, that is everything I have to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Full of color, full of projects. I hope you are finding ways to get you through each day, each week. These months are flying by so fast, and I know I always say that. I know every time the calendar flips, I'm like, oh, how is it whatever month already? But it really is just flying by so fast. I cannot believe it's almost November, which means the year is almost over. I feel like I remember saying, oh, it's already 2025. And now I'm going to have to say, oh, it's almost 2026. It's mind-boggling. I also wanted to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all your super kind comments in the previous video. I did share a pretty heartfelt food for thought in there. It does feel very vulnerable, sharing things that mean a lot to me. And I know my knitting means a lot too, but it's just a different facet of sharing things in general. Also, the snippets that I read out of a book that I had finished last time, it resonated with a lot of people. That also feels very personal and vulnerable when I pull out snippets of things that are meaningful to me and share them out into the internet and just hope for a kind response. And so, yeah, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up for me. That means a lot. And I really hope that you are able to spread some of that thoughtfulness out into the world with others who may be close to you, or maybe people you don't know at all. And we impact people all the time, and it can be positive, it can be negative, and some of that is within our control. And I feel like with so much that feels out of control, really holding on to some of those things that we can make a difference in can just make such a difference and really can help us feel a little bit more grounded. And then one more thing, I just wanted to also say thank you for being in this creative space with me. I started this channel November 2019, which means it's been 6 years, I think, if I've done the math correctly. I have been here on YouTube sharing things for 6 years. I had no idea where this journey would take me. I had no idea if I would even last past one episode, and yet here I am, still sharing the creative things. I would be making things whether or not I am talking about them here on YouTube, so that part wasn't ever really necessarily going to disappear or go away, but I just wasn't sure if this was an area where I felt like I could really feel comfortable taking up some space in. I didn't want to add to noise and just have a space to exist in where we can share the delight in color and making, in fabric and textiles. And so I really hope you have found some of that here in this space with me. So with that, cheers to being creative. I hope you are doing well, taking good care of yourselves, your loved ones, and your neighbors, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.